Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Joe Johnson here with the channel Joe Got Something to Say. And if you have not heard already, man, Kanye West is being canceled. This probably one of the biggest cancellations that we've seen since the inception of cancel culture. And I am going to be reacting to a couple of things that I saw in his interview that he did with Piers Morgan. Pretty interesting interview. We're going to get into it, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts about some things that he said towards the end. So let's get into it. Yo, what's going on, everybody? My name is Joe Johnson, here on the channel with Joe Got Something to Say. Appreciate y'all for tapping into this video. Before I get into this reaction, please do me a favor. Go ahead, if you haven't already, and give this video a like. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so when I drop new content, you will be notified. This is going to be an interesting reaction. I watched this interview the other day, and it was pretty interesting. Kanye West, man, we gotta pray for the brother. You know, there's some things that he said that is in question. Some ideas that I kind of agree with, and then there's some things that I don't agree with. I don't agree with cancel culture, and if you stick around to the end, I'll let you know why I don't agree with cancel culture. But there's a couple of things in this interview that he did with Piers Morgan that was pretty interesting to me. That, you know, yeah, just pretty interesting, and I want to react to him. So let's get into this, man. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and then we're gonna react to this interview. So give me 1 second here while I get this set up. All right, cool. Let's get into this first clip, which is pretty interesting.
Relationship of Matisse and Picasso, and the need for these people. You need to have that. You know, I need to go into the bar and go to Starbucks. That's a form of a modern day bar, right? And just hear Drake's song playing back to back. And Drake needs to go into that same Starbucks just in a different city and see people wearing Yeezys. And it puts us both back into the studio. And, you know, God sets up these almost similar characters, these doppelgangers. It makes me really realize God has a sense of humor. Like, why is John Galliano and Mark Jacobs the exact same human being, just placed in a different place? Or why does God have it where Bernard Arnault cannot purchase Gucci, not even through the Chinese market? God does this to remind us that we are not God, because when you take people like Elon Musk and Bernard Arnault and Trump or Jack Ma, Putin, you take these people in their own space, in their own environments, you know, we can start to feel like gods on earth, but we are nothing in comparison to God. And we are here actually to love one another and to collaborate and to make the world a better place. There's, you know, 1% of the world are placed in power, and 99% of the world are the audience. So that 1% of the world, this idea of a United Nations, this is the world that needs to come together. This is the world that, I mean, here's the obvious go-to. Biden doesn't listen to Elon Musk. The president of the United States does not have meetings with Elon Musk. That is, hey, here, come get me. That's retarded. I know I'm not supposed to say that, Biden, but that's retarded, Biden. And I, you know, it's, and obviously, because I've been deemed with mental health, all this, I have the right to use whatever words that I like to use.
Well, that's interesting.
So in the midst of all that, so he said something pretty interesting right there. I don't know if you all caught what he had said, but he pretty much was alluding to the fact that, you know, he was talking about this relationship with him and Drake, and then all these different other artists and, you know, thinkers and philosophers and things of that nature. And then he makes the correlation between Elon Musk and President Joe Biden, and pretty much address, and as well as the United Nations. And we know how the United Nations works. You know, they have the term united in there, but it's, you know, it is what it is with the United Nations, and there sometimes can be division you know what I'm saying, within the United Nations. And but he makes something interesting. He makes an interesting point about how, we're supposed to come together and we're supposed to be together and love each other and unite to make the world a better place. And he says that, there's like 1% of the world that's in, positions of power. And you look at Elon Musk, is like one of the richest businessmen in the world. And then you have the president of the United States, head over one of the wealthiest countries in the entire world, right? Why isn't Elon Musk and President Joe Biden having conversations about how we can, utilize energy better, right? Why isn't President Joe Biden and Elon Musk having conversations about, how they can address issues that is going on in this world? If we are so concerned with climate change and things of that nature, wouldn't you think it would be interesting and cool to sit down with someone who's building energy efficient cars, right? Who's trying to make homes more energy efficient? Wouldn't it be dope to sit down and have a conversation with that gentleman? Absolute billionaire, a brilliant mind, someone who understands energy, someone that understands technology and things of that nature. Why is there a divide, between the two? Why isn't Joe Biden and Elon Musk having conversations? Why hasn't Elon Musk been invited to, have a dinner or sit down and let's discuss what's going on, in our world, how we can make this world a better place, how we can make it more energy efficient so that we do not depend on the things that we depended on in the past to produce energy. It just makes you think, right? So I know a lot of people, are addressing what Kanye West said in this interview as well as in the tweet. But around all that, and I'm not giving Kanye a pass at all on anything that he says. So don't get, what I say misconstrued. But there is some truth, you know what I'm saying, that is packed into this interview, that's packed into what Kanye West said. And it's interesting. And, that was just one thing that I wanted to pull out of this particular interview. But there's more that he said in this interview that I want to pull out. So we're going to go to the next clip and let me go ahead. Share my screen once again. Give me a second, guys. All right, cool. This is the next clip right here.
About President Biden. It will, as you know, offend a lot of people, and it will particularly offend people who work in mental health.
So this is after, he makes the statement about how Joe Biden and Elon Musk not meeting is retarded. And Kanye kind of makes a joke about it, like, oh, I'm not supposed to say that. Come get me. Come cancel me. I know I'm not supposed to say that. So this is after that, and Kanye West kind of explains why he can get a pass to say what he says. So here we go.
You say you should not use a word like retarded, but you say that because you yourself have had mental health issues, that entitles you to use that kind of word as an insult. Now, I would say that's an arguable point.
I've had my issue is I've had mental health allegations.
Mental health allegations. That's that's pretty wild, right? As someone who has kind of agreed with those quote unquote allegations, someone that has come out and told the world that he has mental health challenges, he has been vocal about, his mental health issues, you know what I'm saying? One of those being bipolar disorder. He's talked about that openly, right? He actually made an album, and in that album, he called his mental health or his disability not a disability, but he called it a superpower. So he's been vocal and, about, what is going on in his mind and things of that nature. And then to come on this interview and said that he's had mental health allegations is pretty interesting and pretty telling about who Kanye West is, but he says more in this answer. So here we go.
So do you believe that you have any form of mental illness?
I believe that I suffered from exhaustion.
Interesting.
I believe that I suffered from exhaustion. I suffered from being lied to constantly by the people around me. And I believe those things can drive anyone to a point of maximum exhaustion.
This is true.
But I also believe that I'm extremely brilliant and I'm here to make the world a better place. And I'm tired of the left media trying to pick on me.
So he says that, he's had mental health allegations, and he goes on to say that, these are pretty much allegations. He said what he has suffered from is exhaustion, right? Exhaustion, and also that he is tired of people picking on him. I guess the abuse in business. I guess, the ups and downs with how the media labels him. And we've seen it over the years, how the media has labeled Kanye West as a lunatic, as, crazy, mentally unstable. There's never a day that goes by where the media and people, are tearing him down, trying to make him look bad. And sometimes Kanye West makes himself look bad, but talking about exhaustion, when Pierce Morgan does a good job later on in the interview, kind of asking him about that exhaustion. He asks him, how much sleep do you get? And Kanye responds with, how much sleep do you get? And Pierce Morgan responds by saying, I got about 5 hours, last night. And Kanye was like, sometimes I get around that. But when you think about it, you know what I'm saying? When you don't get enough sleep, your cognitive dissonance is thrown off, right? Your responses are thrown off. I know for me, when I'm physically drained and mentally drained, I have moments of frustration, anger, things like that. I don't want to be bothered. I get grouchy. I get grumpy. You know what I'm saying? And when you compile that throughout the years, and you kind of live this life that most celebrities have, where they're constantly on the go, and it always seems like they're putting on, for social media and things of that nature, trying to hide what's really going on in their personal lives. Sometimes that fatigue can take a toll on your body. Sometimes that fatigue can take a toll on yourself mentally, right? But I don't think that gives people a pass to speak recklessly in a way that Kanye did. And we're going to talk about that because a lot of people have mixed opinions about what he said, his anti-Semitic comments and things like that. We're going to get into that. But it's pretty interesting how, he said he had mental health allegations, right? And what he has suffered from is exhaustion. And that's interesting, right? That's really interesting. I hope he has people around him that are, trying to help him to get the proper rest that he needs, because honestly, you can't really live a healthy, congruent life if you're not getting the proper amount of rest. Because when you sleep, that's when your body repairs itself, right? Your brain does like a cleansing, right? Your mind, your brain is emptying out those short-term memories that you don't need, that is irrelevant to, your thinking. Like I said, because it's short-term memory, your body releases toxins that you don't need. And when you're not getting the proper rest, those toxins are building up, and they're constantly building up. And there's no wonder why, some people have explosions where they explode, or they have mental breakdowns and things like that. So, you know what I'm saying? Your physical health, your sleep patterns is directly connected to your mental health. And I'm not a mental health expert. I'm not someone that is well versed in the physiology of a body, if I'm saying that right, or how the body works. But I do understand how my body works, and when I don't get sleep, I am not the most approachable individual. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure all of us can say that. And there's more from this video that I want to get into before we get to the end. So let's keep it moving, man. Let's keep it moving. There's more, and this is I found this very interesting right here as we get into his comments. So 1 second, his tweet that he made. All right, here we go.
Feeling from you that you're obviously a complex character, brilliant in many ways, fascinating, like I say, compelling. You have a huge appeal to millions of people around the world. It just seems to me that occasionally your mouth gets you into trouble, and that perhaps on reflection, sometimes you look back and wish you hadn't said things. Is that accurate?
Nah, not really. Because the things I say are on behalf of God.
Ooh.
Like,
Whoa.
it's not always godly because I'm a man, but God is definitely using me.
That's a bold statement. I like how he cleaned that up. He said, what I say is from God. They're not necessarily godly because I'm a man, right? We're human. We make mistakes. I don't think that those two can live together by saying, what I'm saying is from God. It's not necessarily godly. It's kind of confusing, right? Because, God is not the author of confusion. So God's not going to give you something to say, but it's not in a godly way, if that makes sense. And let's keep going. Watch what he says.
Catholic faith?
I am,
What's
yes.
your background?
I am
What's your
Catholic.
religious?
Catholic, yeah.
Well, we're working for God here. And it's just like with black people now with entertainment, we're coming into wealth, but all the other, black people with anywhere near my amount of wealth would never cross the lines of, taboos inside of the media that I would, that actually we used to in rap. All these words, we used to say these, so it's all these like words that are being removed from our vocabulary, words that evoke emotion. Don't you feel like the salt is being taken out of our food? Look at Dune. The people who control the salt controlled all the money. And people are trying to control the salt, and it's salt in our language. That's why I will not apologize for having a bit of salt in my words. I will say, hey, this can be improved on, but it's like, hey, look, I'm going to update. You're looking at the God's iPhone 100. We are God's iPhone, right? If you think about it, we're his favorite creation. We were made in his image.
This is true.
And we need updates. And society, capitalism, media, and thought police have been stopping us from our updates. We have to have a thought, and then we have to actualize it. I like the word actualize better than execute, because execute's a negative word. We discussed this. We have to actualize. There's so many, think about, for a homosexual kid, age 12 at school, not wanting to say out loud how he felt or feeling like.
So he said something interesting there, and that's where I'm going to stop it at. But he said something really interesting, right? He if you don't know what he said, his anti-Semitic comments, he put out I believe it was a tweet, or he posted something on Instagram where he began to talk about, or he said that, I'm a little sleepy right now, but when I wake up, I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Without any context, you know what I'm saying? Without any particular context, he said, when I wake up, I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. And without any context, you look at that and you're like, what is Kanye talking about? DEFCON 3 on Jewish people? This guy is bugging. He's wild. What is he talking about, right? Imagine some just to pick out somebody, imagine Bradley Cooper getting on the internet and saying, I'm a little tired right now, but when I wake up, I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on black people. It's like, what? What did black people do to you? Right? And that's kind of what the situation that Kanye is in right now. But he goes on in Pierce Morgan does a good job. He asks him, what did he mean when he said that? What did he mean when he said it? And I'm actually going to play that clip. We're going to end it there. And then I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on what he, what he said about, like the media trying to take the salt and things like that. So stick with me. There's a lot in this. But let's go back to that particular segment. 1 second. Yeah. All right. Bet.
Made anti-Semitic comments. And in particular, when you said on Instagram, I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Now, many people who are Jewish found that deeply offensive. They wanted to know, what did you mean by going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people? Because DEFCON 3, as you know, is a heightened state of awareness for military action. So what did you mean by that? Here's your chance to clarify what you meant by DEFCON 3 on Jewish people.
Well, thank you for allowing me to say what I meant due to the fact that I was blocked by Jewish people after I said that. So I wasn't actually allowed to say what I was about to say. But what I was going to say is I was going to talk about all of the contracts, all of the misdealings that I dealt with as an entertainer. Being that I'm an entertainer, I've been wronged so many times by Jewish businessmen. And the reason why I say people, if a black man is caught in the car with drugs or a gun, and there's 3 other black guys in the car with him, guess what? They're all going to jail. So the reason why I say people is I want those businessmen's wives and fathers, mothers, grandmothers, and kids to ask them, why is Ye so mad at us? Because they're taking money out of my children's mouths and putting it into their children's mouths. I'll give you this parallel and this analogy. If you take, I just talked to Irina Shayk.
That was heavy. That was heavy. And he gave that kind of analogy with the black people in a car, right? And they got drugs in a car. Everybody is pretty much going down because it's guilty by association, right? In this particular context, when we're talking about Jewish people, right? He said, I want their wives, their children, their fathers, their mothers, their grandparents. He's like, I want everybody to feel this. And honestly, for me, I don't particularly agree with the mass generalization, right? Because all Jewish people aren't like this. And when I say aren't like this, whoever Kanye has dealt with, because he clarifies by saying, I'm talking about the Jewish business men that he's worked with, record labels, fashion companies, movies, sports, because he starts talking about he wants these Jewish businessmen to open up all the contracts for athletes, for actors and actresses, for NFL players, NBA, record deals. He's like, I want them to open up the books and we can compare contracts and show how these businessmen have been wronging us for years. And here's my thought on this, right? Now, I know, right, as someone who's taken a music business class, I know that record companies can be a bit shady in, their record deals. You know what I'm saying? Like, before an artist gets to see any real money, they're gonna the record label is gonna recoup their investment. What a lot of people don't know is that when these rappers and these singers get signed, the record company provides what they call an advance. So now this record company has just become a bank to these artists, and they loan them a certain amount of money, right? It could be somewhere to the upward hundreds of thousands to the millions, right? Now, just like a bank, the bank wants their money back in a certain amount of time. And it's the same with these artists. These record companies want their money back in a certain amount of time. So they work into the contract any way possible to get that money back. And that money could be with record sales, streams. If you take you go on tour, they want a piece of that, right? You do merch, they might want a piece of that. You know what I'm saying? You do a movie, they might want a piece of that. There are so many ways that record companies will pretty much work into a contract on how to get their money back. Now, the interesting thing is that, and we've seen this with other artists that, when they reach a certain level, it's kind of like they wake up and they're like, yo, I was taken advantage of. I got to do something about this. And it's like, did somebody force you to sign your name on this contract? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not discrediting anything that Kanye is saying, right? Because I think that there needs to be more transparency with record companies and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to how they do business, because some record labels, like I said, are a bit shady in their practices. They'll take everything before an artist sees anything, right? We saw this with TLC. TLC was going through bankruptcy and still dropping records. They were they were literally bankrupt, broke, and still dropping records. So that is one example of how, shady the record companies can be. But, Kanye makes it seem like he and others were forced to make these deals, were forced to sign their names with contracts. And who knows what goes on behind closed doors? Who knows what is said behind closed doors? I don't know. We've never been in those settings. None of us have. So the only people that will know are the ones that's been in these settings. The same with athletes. You know what I'm saying? The top earners, man, in sports, they're getting paid handsomely. And I don't see them complaining at all. Right? I don't see them complaining at all. So I'm kind of interested to know, you know what I'm saying, from Kanye, how have you been wrong? Like, let us know how you have been wrong. But to make that generalization, like all, you know what I'm saying, Jewish people, right? Instead of saying the businessmen and women that I've worked with, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to go DEFCON 3. Because me personally, I don't like when people generalize all black people as, something. Like, man, these black people, they thugs, they ghetto. You know what I'm saying? I hate that. So I can imagine what Jewish people at home, it's just like regular Jewish people are thinking to themselves at home, like, I don't even own a business, fam. Like, I got nothing to do with you, Kanye. My family got nothing to do with you, Kanye. So, you know what I'm saying? That comment in and of itself, I thought was pretty wild. And I can see why Jewish people were upset. But to cancel him, I don't particularly agree. And this is why I don't agree with cancel culture, because it doesn't allow for people to grow and, you know what I'm saying, make mistakes. Not to give them a pass, but to provide teachable moments. Now, I know in some cases, sometimes you got to make an example of somebody to let it be known, like, yo, we will not tolerate this, yada, yada, yada. Like, y'all got to get it together. And that kind of goes into what Kanye was saying, where he was like, it's like they're trying to take the salt out of us, right? And he said that, he said, you know what I'm saying, in hip hop, we used to speak a certain way, right? In hip hop, you look at groups like NWA in that era, they were vocal about talking about police and police brutality and things like that. You know what I'm saying? The conscious hip hop movement, man, with the KRS Ones and the Talib Kweli's. You know what I'm saying? That underground rap back in like the early '90s when they were addressing, you know, the hypocrisy in government and things like that. You know what I'm saying? When cats was making music talking about how crooked government is and politicians are and things like that, Kanye was like, we don't got that no more. They don't talk about that no more. It's because they're taking the salt out of what we can say. And this is my issue with cancel culture, because it kind of gives you this idea where if you don't think like us, right, or if you speak out against us, then we're going to cancel you. We're going to end your engagement. Any platform that you're using, we're going to kick you off of that platform. We're going to demonetize your platforms, things like that, because you're someone that's going against the grain. You feel me? And that, you know, is being seen a lot of places in a world where we talk about this huge, you know, ploy for diversity. It doesn't really seem like there's a lot of diversity in thought. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be diverse in your thinking. And like I said, I'm not giving a pass to Kanye. Talking about anything that he said is okay. I don't think it's okay. I don't agree with him. I don't agree with him being canceled because now it's like he said, there's this fear. Like, you literally can't say anything that goes against the grain or is contrary to popular belief. And my last thought, man, about what he said to Piers Morgan, he was like, what I'm saying is from God. It's not godly, but God is speaking through me. And then he, you know, says that we are God's iPhone 10 or 100 or whatever he said, right? And this is my pushback to that, right? He said that what he's saying is God. I don't agree with that, because God, although God does bring correction through individuals, like, you know, prophets, we see how God used prophets in the Old Testament to bring about correction, right? We saw it numerous times in scripture where prophets came to correct people and kings and things of that nature, and God still does that today. But it is also the delivery and the tone that makes it godly. Kanye said sometimes what he says is not godly. But here's a scripture that I want us to think about, you know what I'm saying, when we hear people make statements like Kanye made, make tweets that Kanye made, and then say, you know, try to put God in it, like this is God speaking through me. We have to look closely at what is coming out of individuals' mouths. So this is a scripture that I want to leave you all with. This scripture is Luke 6:45. This is the Christian Standard Bible. And this is Jesus speaking to the disciples. He said, a good person produces good out of the good that is stored up in his heart. An evil person produces evil out of the evil stored up in his heart. For his mouth speaks from the overflow of the heart, right? So when we are judging what people are saying, right, in particular this case, when we're talking about Kanye, when we're judging the contents that are coming out of people's hearts, we have to really judge the nature of that content, right? And that is how you will know who a person truly is and what a person stands for. Now, I can't question Kanye's faith. He's been very vocal about his faith in Jesus. At the beginning of this interview, I advise you all to go watch it. He makes a bold claim and says that he believes that he is Jewish. He believes that black people are the lost tribe of Israel. I'm not here to debate that. I have my personal thoughts about, you know, that. But I'm not here to talk about that. But that is what he believes. And he believed that it is okay for him to say what he said because he's Jewish, right? But Kanye, you know what I'm saying, in this video, that's new information as well. I didn't know he thought that. That's pretty interesting. But he believes that black people are Jewish, and he believes that he's Jewish. He believes that, you know what I'm saying, he's a darker Jew. But when people are in the faith and they claim to be in the faith, we have to look at the fruit, right? Jesus said, "You will know them by the fruit that they bear," and their fruit can come in a lot of ways. Their actions, what they say, right? How they respond in certain situations. You know what I'm saying? So you will know if someone is really connected. Jesus said, "I am the vine and you are the branches. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Those that abide in me and I in them will produce much fruit," right? Good fruit. And then it goes on to talk about what those fruits are: goodness, gentleness, kindness, long suffering, self-control, things like that, right? You can go and look up what those fruits are that Jesus talks about in the New Testament. Right. So when we're looking at these statements, throughout the interview, Kanye was like making a joke about what he said, you know what I'm saying, laughing. And he kind of, towards the end, made an apology, but it wasn't really an authentic apology. It was kind of one of those things where he's like, I'm still being updated, like he said, receiving updates. So it's like, it's weird because he kind of takes us on like this mental roller coaster, and he does like mental gymnastics. It's like one point he's like up here with what he believes, and then at the next he's like down here, and he's like, well, maybe I could have said it this way and things like that. But there's a lot in this. There's a lot in Kanye. Right now, companies are pulling back. You know what I'm saying? And they're severing the ties. Just today, Def Jam has released his label Good Music from the Def Jam label, so he no longer has ties to Def Jam. Adidas just cut ties with Kanye, and now they owe Kanye money, but they're keeping the Yeezy brand. So Adidas owns Yeezy. That's interesting. They own Kanye's intellectual property, right? And that goes back to the contract. Like, who forced you to sign this contract? You know what I'm saying? Like, to say that they're taking advantage of us, right? In some cases they are, but in another sense, it's like, nobody, who's forcing you to sign these contracts, right? There's a lot of thoughts that I got, a lot of information in this video. Let me know what y'all think about Kanye, him being canceled, anything that I addressed in this video. Let me know what y'all think, how y'all feel, which way are you leaning? Are you leaning towards, yeah, he should have got canceled, or no, he shouldn't have got canceled? Yeah, so let's keep this conversation going in the comments. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and click the notification bell so that you are notified when I release new content. Once again, my name is Joe Johnson, here with Joe Got Something to Say. Until next time, you all be safe. God bless. Peace out.